I've been an entrepreneur since I was 16, and I would call myself a serial entrepreneur. So, a serial entrepreneur is that I'm always looking for that opportunity to grow my business by myself, for myself, but with a team. So my business is called the Top Stitch. I actually have two stores right now. We just did a glow up. Well, most people call it a business expansion, but it's my glow up era. And we just expanded our 2,000 square foot store to 4,000 square feet and then purchased an acquisition to another shop. So that's what I do. I have a retail store that is rooted in tourism. And I also am a full-time tailor and fashion designer. So I will not judge anyone here. But I'm a full-time tailor. So it's always good to have a foundation in a skill and build on that. And that's exactly what I did.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Winny, and I graduated from Mount Winson University 2024, and also the same class as you, tourism and hospitality management. So nice to see you guys again. And sitting here, I work for Ambassadatours Cruise Corporate. We are one of the leading tour operators in Atlantic Canada for the past 10 years. So we basically offered the shore excursion tours to cruise line ships. So we worked very hard to provide the tours to our cruise ship partners. And also my job as a supplier relations coordinators, and I basically manage supplier relationships and their agreements with the suppliers and other coordination jobs so to help the business smooth every day. So that's me.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm Keaton Hoogeboom. I work for Muir, a luxury collection hotel, Halifax. I'm their associate director of sales, so I do lead a small team of sales managers, event managers, and a sales coordinator. In the sales department at Muir, we look after all of the incentive travel, entertainment, corporate, FIT, and some of those luxury travel programs that are here in Halifax. So very much looking forward to chatting more about what we do in that industry. So thank you.
And hi, everyone. My name is Sara Mofford. I'm also a alumni of Mount St. Vincent Tourism and Hospitality Management degree from here, so it's nice to be back. I work at White Point Beach Resort, so it's located near Liverpool. So it's a year-round resort with lots of different amenities that we'll kind of get into a little bit later, but I am the food and beverage manager, so basically in charge of all food and beverage, and my team as well, so food operations, beverage operations, banquets, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you very much.
Great. So next we'll start with Winnie. So how has your education experience led you to your current position? Did you do any co-op positions or internships?
Wow, my first question. Getting nervous. All right. How I get into here, right? I actually have a long education history in the UK. I have a bachelor degree and a master degree in business and economics. And then when I come to Canada and I started to think again, so what shall I learn? And then I look at Nova Scotia and Halifax to be particularly, it is a tourism city. We have a 2% to 3% economics coming from the tourism sectors. So I think I should do something, learn something about tourism and hospitality. So that's why I signed up for the 2 years program to study as a base. So to get me to my next steps, finding a job here. That's very important for the students, right? And this 2 years study in Mount Vincent really helped me strengthen a lot of knowledge and how what it looks like for guest experience and how to combine with the business operations. And after learning the knowledge is not enough because you need to learn how you work in the real life. So the summer work trend really helps me to find the gaps because I'm also have language barriers because I'm an international student from China and I'm also have a cultural differences Chinese culture and Canadian cultures are very different. So the work trend in summer, I think I did for 4 months in Ambassatours. We doing the boat sightseeing, harbor hoppers over there, and really helps me grow with my communication skills and how I work with the team. I think that's really important to help me adapt it to my new role after I graduate. Thank you.
So sometimes I feel like I might be the wrong person to answer this question, but I'm going to do it anyway. My, I would say, career path, education path wasn't necessarily the one that led me to hospitality and tourism, and especially a career in hotels. So I did go to Dalhousie University in 2012 for something completely different than what I'm doing today. So I often tell a lot of people that it's okay to kind of change your mind and change your career path if it's not fitting what you love to do. So I stumbled into the hospitality tourism career path by working in food and beverage, actually, and I really enjoyed my time working in hotels. It was fast paced, it was exciting, and a lot of opportunities for leadership development. So luckily, also, I was given a lot of opportunity. I had worked for a long time within the Marriott brand, still do, to develop leadership skills, sales skills, in my time that may have kind of expanded on the degree that I had done previously. So I find that hands-on experience is probably the most invaluable piece of experience that you can get. And often it will show you truly what you enjoy doing that you might not necessarily get in a setting where you have a headset mind that this is what I want to do until you actually decide to do it. So I would recommend exploring different avenues if you can, if you have a co-op or an internship, or, in some instances, a Voyager program that helps you expand. And maybe it's not the one you initially wanted. I would say try it anyway, and you might find something that you truly love to do and have the ability and the support of the people around you to kind of succeed in whatever you decide to do. So, yeah.
So for me, education and experience tied in together was really important for me. So my career path was kind of similar to yours, but not so much. I went to NSCC for 2 years, and then I did my my co-op from there at the Digby Pines as a server. And I fell in love with the resort and resort food and beverage operations. So I did that for a few years after I finished my schooling at NSCC, and then I heard about the 2+2 program with Mount St. Vincent, where I could do 2 years NSCC and then continue my schooling after that. So actually, when I came back to Mount St. Vincent, I was still working at the Digby Pines in the summers as a conference and events coordinator. So even though I had, the schooling from NSCC, my experience there led me to become the conference and events coordinator fresh out of college, which I found was really great. And then once I did my internship here through Mount St. Vincent, I actually went to Lake Louise, and I worked at the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise for a summer. And I found that to be an incredible experience, that I had the opportunity and the resources through Mount St. Vincent to be able to go and experience something that I might not have been able to I shouldn't say not be able to, but I wouldn't have pushed myself to go on my own, and to have the resources through the co-op program was fantastic. So I find that, it's a mixture of, you having the education behind you, but the internship and the co-op programs are so important to lead you to these different experiences. And as Keaton was saying, to branch out to see, am I interested in this? Do I want to do this? And learning about what you want to do while you're still doing your schooling. So after I did my Lake Louise internship, I fell even more in love with food and beverage, and then I chose to continue on with the career after that. So the experience and the education pieces work really hand in hand.
Fantastic. I just want to kind of say it's exactly what I would agree with. Overcoming challenges of, being in a new country and learning the language and culture is a very big challenge. And anyone who's going through that, good for you to, take that leap into a new culture to learn. And also, yeah, it's okay to change your plan, right? And, I kind of changed my plan multiple times, right? And that's okay. But also the resources here at the Mount are next to none, right? And if you have any opportunity to take advantage of those things, please do, right? It does, you have that experience now because of that. I'll share a little bit about myself. I realized I never said my name. So my name is Roberta Hibbert. I am from Sebeganigity First Nations. I'm a second generation residential school survivor. So when it comes to education, this is very important for me. So forgive me if I get a little emotional because it's an emotional topic. To be a second generational residential school survivor means that education was part of our history trauma. So that's why it's so important for me to succeed today, because I'm the first in my family to graduate. And not only graduate once, to graduate twice. And not only that, come back to the school and volunteer. So I was on the board of directors for 6 years, representing students just like you to tell your story and also your start. So how I started this journey in education with this history, I was a mature student at 22. I walked in university with a grade 7 education. The first thing they said to me is, it's impossible. You have a grade 7 education. And I asked them, show me how. Tell me what I need to do to be the first in my family to graduate. And they said, again, it was impossible. They said, you have to get your GED, and it's going to take at least a year or two because you have grade 7. I did it in 3 months because I was told I couldn't do it. I was told by society that I couldn't do it. So I wanted to. And I made it work. So 3 months, I completed my GED, went back to the university. This was the Mount, not the Mount, it was actually UMB. So then I started with the Bridging Year program and learned how to be a student. So that was a big step for me to learn how to be a student because I didn't know how to be a student. So the biggest step for me is to ask questions. How do I do this? But also to seek out mentors, to have mentors that guided me, supported me, and understood my story so they can support me the right way. They supported me with guidance, they supported me with mental health, and they supported me with just being there for me. So unfortunately, my first year university, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but I started my family. So I was a single mom, young mom, my first year university with a grade 7 education. So this is why I say it's very important to have mentorship, but also to fail forward. When things are tough, you find your passion and why you do things. What's your start? What got you started? And for me, I wanted to graduate for my dad. So my dad, he started his education and didn't finish because of the challenges that he experienced with drugs and alcohol. So I wanted to kind of carry on his legacy. So fast forward, years happen, life happens, 3 kids later, I found myself here in Halifax, and my dream of finishing my education was I didn't know what to do. I was a single mom of 3 children, young children, but I was very determined because somebody told me I couldn't do it. So I said, show me how. So I came here to the Mount with basically my car and 3 kids on the verge of homelessness. And I went to the finance department. It was Frances. I know her personally today. She's amazing. And I said, okay, show me how. Let me know what I need to do to finish my degree so that I can show my dad that it can be done. And I can show my kids it can be done. So with that guidance and mentorship, she got me my start so that I could apply as a student here. And man, I worked hard. I worked hard to fail forward, to make sure that I attended class. And there's sometimes I attended with my son because I couldn't afford childcare. So Dr. Shiner knows full well that my son came to school with me. And this is what I love about the Mount so much, is because we have professors and support team that want to help us. They want to hear our start story and they want to hear our success story. They want to be there for all aspects of our success. So when you finish here at the Mount, you have that glow up. Whatever career you choose, if you choose different types of careers, that's okay too, because what the Mount offers here is foundation. And that's one thing I wanted to answer this question with foundation. So I got the foundation that I needed here at the Mount when I was a struggling mom of 3 children, and I had a passion to succeed. So when I graduated in 2020, I had an eagle feather with me. And the first thing I did, I called my father. And I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. I said, I did it for you because I'm the first in my family to graduate. And I've never been so proud because it was the first time I actually talked to my father to be able to say, I forgive you. I am a better person because of you, because I took his challenges and I made it my success. So again, fast forward, because of everything the Mount helped me with, I decided to do whatever I could to help other students. So of course I joined the board. I was on the board for 6 years, just being present and telling our story to say, you know what, this is what makes the Mount different and special. Yes, you can move on to other schools. We encourage you to expand your knowledge, but the Mount is success because of the foundations that offers to students that have that success story, that have a start story. So mentorship is your biggest key. Get to know your professors, show up to class, take advantage of everything that's offered here to you, right? Take your time and use critical thinking skills, right? Because after this, you're going to need them. You're going to need those critical thinking skills to succeed. So thank you, Walian.
Thank you, Roberta. For our next question, we'll start with Keaton. So what do you like about your field of work? What do you dislike? And what is challenging about your field of work?
Okay, what a fun question. Also, thank you, Roberta. I love the sentiment of failing forward. I love that. So in sales specific, I am biased, but I love sales, which I obviously based on being a director of sales. But sales is a very fun part of the overall, I would say, hotel operation in which we're in. Sometimes operational teams, I've been on both sides, don't always see the connection between what sales does and the end result of what a client can kind of take away from the experience. But I like to say that we're the experience builders and an operational team are this experience deliverers. So truly, one of I find our challenges with our property in particular is that we're very unique in the Halifax market. We are a luxury collection, one of 2 in Canada within the Marriott portfolio. So bringing luxury to Halifax was a feat in its own, just due to the market. We're still, I'd say, in the worldview, a small size to medium sized city, and we don't always necessarily have the reach for certain, I'd say, buyers or suppliers to say Halifax is a luxury destination. So a part of my job and a challenge of my job is to not only sell the experience that is Muir and the customer service and that expectation that people have come to not only expect, but go back and talk about, brag about. It can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge to truly have people understand the region and how much we reflect ourselves in the region. So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge oftentimes is truly kind of getting ourselves out there as a unique and desirable and interesting destination to compete in markets that people have heard about and talk about consistently. So I would say that's definitely the biggest challenge. My favorite part of my role is when people actually experience the destination itself. when they get on site and they see what Halifax has to offer, not only just our hotel and our amenities and what we provide and deliver, but the overall, when you get them on the boardwalk and when you walk downtown and you experience the city vibe, that's really rewarding to me, because I truly feel like not only am I a part of just my small portion of the overall city, I'm getting people to experience something that I personally love and truly believe in, and I get to kind of see them then go back to their clients and talk about Halifax in a way that I don't necessarily believe that it was talked about even 10 years ago when I first moved to the city. So in being in sales, you truly get to sell the destination, the experience, and then you get to kind of make those relationships. I'm a relationship builder. Having a really rewarding career for me is to kind of keep those connections throughout and be able to talk about something I love, which is both Halifax and, of course, now the Muir. So I'd say that would be about it.
Great. So for my side, basically what Keaton does is explain how wonderful Nova Scotia is and explain to, our guests coming in, what we can offer. And my role with my team is to make that happen, to make those things a reality at different places, of course. But with my team, I am boots on the floor, working alongside them every day, as long with the other operational duties that my job does entail. My favorite part of my role is the people. Now, that's two different ways. The people that are coming to my resort, they're having amazing experiences that my team is creating for them. My culinary team is creating, my front of house team, the entire resort, building an experience for them that they'll never forget, whether it's a first time coming or they've been coming every year with their family for the last 50 years, which we do have. The second part of the people is my team. So I will say, hands down, my favorite part of my job is my team. You cannot, build up these expectations for people if you don't have the team to actually execute it. My favorite thing is when my team succeeds, and that's my goal, is to make sure that they're doing their job and they're happy doing their job and that I can assist them in any way. So when, my team is happy, and it sounds kind of corny, but when my team is happy, that is genuinely the best day that I could have. On the flip side, something that I dislike, and this is kind of the reality of working kind of boots on the ground in operation, is the rough days. I don't know if anybody works, in an operation of any sort of hospitality right now, but hopefully you all will be. The reality of working with people is that sometimes there's the rough days, and there's the days where things don't go right. And, and sometimes it's out of your control, and there's nothing you can really do about it except persevere. But those days are hard. And the thing that's important about those days, it's not what happens, it's how you recover from it. So making sure that you're not, harping on the bad things that happen or the things that don't go your way. I'm such a planner. I want everything to go perfectly. And the reality is, in hospitality, it doesn't. So to make sure that you're making the active critical decision, critical thinking to say, okay, this happened, how can I make it better? So then, the most challenging part of my job would be that making sure that we're correcting things when they go wrong. But it's also one of the most rewarding things. If there's something that goes wrong and you can turn it around and make somebody or have a great experience or help out your team in a way that's a positive, is challenging, but it's rewarding when it goes right. Balancing guests' expectations with our reality and executing something flawlessly is one of my favorite things about my job, along with my team.
Thanks. I'll try to keep it short. So what I like about my field of work, so I am multi-skilled. So first of all, I'm a full-time tailor, so I design wedding dresses. I've done fashion shows. I've studied sustainable fashion in Milan, and I go every year to kind of work with the industry like Patagonia and Tommy Hilfiger. So what I love about my job, it gives me this flexibility to be creative and to really kind of stretch my wings into new areas that I've never thought I'd be in. So being an entrepreneur, it's a great opportunity to really be creative, right? And take on some new roles that you never thought you'd have. But it's just stretching yourself to learn new things. I'm always learning. And again, back to that education, how important education it is to me that I'm always learning a new skill. Or if I don't know something, I'm willing to learn. And So that's what I like about my field of work, is that I have flexibility to learn new things. What do I dislike? Long hours. As an entrepreneur, there's no boss. I am the boss, and I'm pretty strict with myself. Sometimes it's 7 days a week, just because you have to be, what I call the chief bottle washer. You got to do everything, every element of your business until you learn how to delegate, which is not easy for us entrepreneurs. So what is the biggest challenge is, again, I'm trailblazing. So sometimes I'm in a field that no one else has gone before me, so it's hard to get advice. So that's why mentorship is so important, because I'm trailblazing. There's very few Indigenous tailors that are launching and growing right now. So I take this opportunity to teach, so that, because I'm trailblazing, I want to bring people with me. I want to be able to be a mentor. If I can't find a mentor, then I'm going to be a mentor, right? So it's important that I teach students that work with me how to critically think, how to be creative, how to learn new skills. And if somebody wants to be a tailor or fashion designer, they need to do hands-on, because that's what I learned. I learned you have to be hands-on in this field. So long days, long nights, but there's the reward to it. And one thing I love about my job is fashion shows. It is so exhilarating and a lot of work. And I'm an adrenaline junkie. But when that fashion show happens, and just recently, one of the fashion shows I did, I was the last presenter. So to be the last designer is, you've made it, right? To be the last to close a show. But nobody knows behind the scenes, I was making dresses in the hotel room. And I was like sewing on dresses like an hour before the models went to present. But I love the adrenaline. And sometimes that adrenaline is very rewarding when you see your work complete and you see the accolades. Sometimes I'm very humble. People are like, oh, it's Roberta, she's the designer, right? I'm like, what? But it's being humble that your success is because you have a team of people working with you. And for me, being an entrepreneur, my team is my customers, right? And having that experience when they, have their dresses hemmed, or they have their work completed by me, it's, I want them to feel proud that they're working with me. So that's my why I love what I do.
Wow, getting the pressure here. So heat, the discussion is getting heat, right? And I saw everyone's got the passion over there. Okay, let's talk about tourism, because before I graduate, I got 2 offers. So one is from the hotel Marriott Halifax, and I would have the opportunity to go to the sales department. Well, and the other one, yes, and the other one is from Ambassatours, offering me to go to the tour sectors. So I was thinking myself, who am I? Why I should choose which path I should choose? And then I think about myself. I'm fun. I hate boring, and I like solving problems. Challenges is my DNA. So I ended up choosing tourism for the tourist operator. So what I love about tourism is because it's connecting people and places. So you can help create memory experiences for tourists. And also you are helping supporting the local business and community. And give you an example, last year in 2025, the cruise ships have 175 calls in Halifax port, and we bring out 72,000 guests to Peggy's Cove. So imagine this is the year in September and October, and we bringing out that amount of guests to this community will help them extending their shoulder season. But when you talk about tourism, you will have a lot of moving parts, and that is the most challenge we are facing. So you know it, and you can name it, the weather, right? We don't have anything. We don't have buildings. We don't have boats, right? And all we have is plan everything, take them to the tours, and then hurricanes come. rains, lightning, foggy. And so this is what the challenge we always have. We have a plan, but we actually don't have any plan because it's always change last minute. So if any one of you want to go to the tour operator or tourism sectors, think twice. So because I want to say that, because it requires your personality, you have to be positive thinking. You have to be think out of the box to solve problems. And yeah, and under the stress, when you have all the guests in front of you looking at you, how you react to them. So that is important. Giving you a real life example, because in my summer work term, I work in Ambassatours, and I have the Asian groups coming every summer to have a harbor tour. So it's a 1 hour harbor tour around the George Island and then past the McCabe Bridge. And it was foggy today. On that day, I'm sorry. It's totally foggy and 1 arm land. You can't see anything. We were supposed to see a very nice, beautiful harbor front. And it ended up, it's totally foggy. And I was the guide for 80 people on Harbor Creek, on the Harbor Creek. And imagine what can you do on that time. 90 people in front of you looking at you and then waiting for you to give the commentary. And you're looking outside is totally, where is there? So this is the example. So for you, you need to have more skills, more prepare before you go to the tours, or when you're doing preparing for the tour. It is not an easy thing, but that is very rewarding because you bring different experience memorables. I can tell you that after I finish the 1 hour tour, those 90 people shake my hands and thank you me because I keep my positive energy there. And I told them ghost story of Halifax. What a day. So, yeah.
All right, for the next question, we'll start with Sara. So describe a typical workday.
Okay. So in food and beverage, every day is different. But my days always start the exact same way. I get to the office, I put my coat down, and I go and visit every one of my employees in any outlet that they're in. My emails can wait. My voicemails can wait a few minutes. My number one priority when I get there is to go and check on all of my employees. As food and beverage manager of a almost 20-hour operation daily, I can't be there all the time. I have, assistants and, other managers below me, but my number one priority when I get there is to go and make sure that my teams are doing okay and ask them how I can support them and what they need at that moment. That's really important, is to just make sure that they know that you care and that you're there to support them with whatever they need. Then after that, I go and do all the, boring stuff, ordering, all that stuff that no one wants to hear about. So, my job is a lot of, in the office, ordering, licensing, menu making, training, manuals, all that fun stuff. Then also a big part of my job is just talking to my employees, taking the time to take them into my office and just ask how their day is. Or, if you see somebody that's maybe not having the best day, pulling them aside and asking, what's going on? How can I help? As a manager and as leading a team, your job isn't black and white in, I go in, I place the order, I make the floor plan, and I go home. It's a lot more than that. And it's the big part of managing is leading your team from the front, not kind of pushing from the back, letting them know that you're there supporting them hands-on. So my day looks very different every day. I could be there, in my office working on whatever I need to be working on, whether it's an upcoming menu or a new cocktail menu or specials or what have you, or I can be in the bar. I can be bartending, or I can be, cleaning tables. It's whatever my team needs me to do in those times. So my day is very different every day, but that's also what makes it exciting, is that every day I do something different, whether that's we have a 200-person wedding or we have 20 people in house because it's a Tuesday in the middle of February, right? It's every day is completely different. And but the one constant that's always going to be there is the support that I have from my team and being alongside them. So that's my day.
I am not a good example. I'm just going to say this right now. I totally sleep in, right? Just because I can. My boss is kind of pretty lax at that, but yeah, I have no plan. Um, so don't take advice from me on time management, please. That's like my weakness. But saying that, I do work quite a bit. The things that I've learned being an entrepreneur, make sure you do the hard stuff first. And they say the term eat the frog because procrastination can take over your workday when you're an entrepreneur. And that's the biggest challenge. So I've had to learn to tackle the hard stuff right away when I had the most energy in my day. So that would be the best advice I could give, but I don't necessarily take it because I'm a little bit spicy, neurospicy. But I'm very busy because I do wear many hats, and it's important that I do write things down. Like every day, I start my day with a list, and I forget about yesterday. It's very important because in this industry, as you've been mentioning, it's very busy, and things change on a fly. When you have a foggy day, you have to come up with a plan. So in this industry, you have to learn to adapt, but you also have to let go. You can't always dwell in the hard days. Every day is a new day. Start the day with however you need to have some self-care because you know that the day is going to be a little bit crazy, right? You're going to have long hours sometimes. You're going to have things change on you in a minute, right? You're going to be focused on the right things, which is your customers and that experience that you're offering. Because I'm into retail, so my customers pay my bills. So I got to make sure if I'm working on something else, I drop that to help my customer. Because if I don't, I'm not in business. So self-care is number one, right? Eat the frog, do the hard stuff first to make sure it's done and out of the way, and forget about yesterday. Whatever hardships that happened yesterday or that list that you didn't get done, don't worry about it. If you have to write a new list today, that's okay. Right? Don't wear that stress. I eat stress for breakfast. I'm just saying, right? I can give you a whole class on how to manage stress or how not to manage stress. But it's all part of the job. It's being able to adapt very quickly and not beating yourself up if it doesn't go as planned. That's just a business 101, but it's tourism because somebody's watching you all the time and it's your customer.
Thank you. For me, when I get into the tour operator conflict to work in there, and my friend and some people ask me, what are you going to do in winter? Hard to answer this question because we got no tours in winter. Yes, but winter we do all the planning, and as a supplier relations coordinator, I need to checking their price and also requesting a lot of interest, like what for the next year, like for tour design, we need to reach to, for example, Roberta for a new design for the tours. So that's what we do in the winter. But in a typical day in the cruise season. So when I talk about the cruise season, I meant for September and October because cruise season actually started very early in April. So this year will be April 7th, the first ship, Viking, will arrive and they will do overnight, which very interesting. And our last day in the cruise season will be in November. But last year we have November 21st or something, very late. So now the cruise season is getting longer. It means that I work harder. So my typical day in the cruise season will be really busy. We started from, we name them by stage, like -1 week and then -1 day, and on the day, and then after that. So I was just saying that before the 1 day, we'll have a lot of updates, like how many we sold, how many guests we sold to these tickets or to this sizing. And all those numbers need to be reviewed and check what's important and what's to be followed up. And on the day, we are all in the pier because we are short of staff. So everyone in the office will need to go to the pier and then welcome the guests and then send them to the bus. And after the day of, after that, the next day I have to massive invoices coming in. So I need to check every single information to match. So my job is basically a big part of it is to make sure the information is correct. So require me to have a detail oriented to check the numbers, because every single things in the tour will have an impact to our operation and increase the costs, because we have no buildings and we are combining tours and bus. So every single thing is about costs. So my job as a coordinator is very important here, is make sure all this information passed to the internal team and the outside supplier teams, they are correct. Yeah, that's my job. Thank you.
Thanks. My day is relatively structured, I will say. Most days start the exact same. Myself and some operational leaders go through every single one of our detailed arrivals. So if you've worked in a hotel before and you're working for a brand that has a large number of hotel rooms, that may seem to take up a lot of time. But when you're working in a portfolio like a luxury collection where you have smaller hotel size, like we have 109 rooms, every detail is very important to gather from our guests. Those high touch points are really what separates a luxury brand from a premium brand, and reviewing that information daily so that we can take the information that we've gathered from our guests to make their stay a bit more memorable is the first thing that we do every day. Along with maybe if there's any guest incidents that need to be followed up on. Hate to say it, it does happen in every industry. There's always going to be guest incidents, good or bad, that need to be followed up on with the correct department. So every day is pretty much the morning routine. After that, me and the sales team, we always do something called energizers. When you're working in a space where the gold standards is a Forbes 5-star goal, ensuring that we're constantly talking about the standards that need to be upheld is a part of the daily routine. After that, we get into the really fun part of some contract negotiations. I like to say that in sales, you have to be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. And that can be the hardest part for a lot of people who are in that who are wanting to go into sales. You're going to have a lot of customers that may want to push back a little bit on terms of service, agreement, rate, contracting. So you have to be very comfortable with understanding the contract that you're providing, the integrity of the service that you're providing, and stand firm behind what you're offering. Of course, there are going to be times where you give a little bit here, take a little bit there. But I do find that if you're comfortable in these conversations, you're going to win a lot more business. There are also times when a piece of business is phenomenal and you want to take it, but you actually just can't, be based on the fact that maybe you've already built too much over those dates. And then you have to have the uncomfortable conversation of asking them to move dates and shift things around. So it's constantly in the sales cycle about building base. Hotels don't fill on their own. It's not all booking.com and Expedia reservations. A lot of the times the sales team needs to build a base for us to succeed and hit our revenue targets and our market segments. Each sales manager has their own market segments. I personally look after incentive, entertainment, and FIT, which is just basically luxury travel programs. So those are my target markets, and those what I need to focus on in the day and essentially match what we're looking for to kind of what fills. So there is a lot of, unfortunately, boring programming stuff. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You have to be good with systems, and you have to be understanding of parameters. You have to have a decent financial acumen as well. You need to understand sales targets, revenue goals, and why we're maintaining them. But then you also have to be comfortable speaking on decisions that you make, whether that's passing on a piece of business or losing a piece of business. I can go a full week and lose every single piece I bid on, and I can go a full week where I win every piece I bid on. So you also have to be comfortable knowing that they're not going to be fantastic weeks every single week, that you're going to take some losses. So that's essentially the sales day. If anyone tells you sales is all just client lunches and, after work events, they are lying to you. There is a portion of that. I'm not gonna not gonna gloss over it. There is definitely a portion of that. You need to maintain the relationships, but there's a little bit of a grit to sales that I think sometimes gets glossed over. And a lot of that is just ensuring that you're standing behind what you're delivering, and making sure that your ownership group is comfortable with what you've brought in. And then, of course, your client is happy about the experience they're about to get. So that's essentially a day in the sales cycle.
Okay, so we are cutting a little close on time, so I'm going to go through our individual questions and then maybe we'll wrap up some questions from the students. So starting with Winnie, what do you wish you knew about transportation and tour operators before you graduated?
Yeah, this is a really hard question. I have to go to the website of Monks and Winson website to find out what am I missing, right? For that. Yeah, I did a lot of courses in 2 years, but not enough. And so when I think back, what do I missing here? So I actually really want to, because now I'm in this position, I really need 2 courses to get more knowledge. One is called Tour Operation Management. I think is taught by Dr. Maria Matthew. And the other one is Sustainable Tourism Management. Why I choose these courses? Because I really need that in my job right now, today, because it helps me understand how the tour design, transportation scheduling, and how to put the tours deliver into the real life experience. If I can learn this program more, I would have more knowledge. And also I consider about sustainable, because we will talk about in the next questions, and sustainability will be a growing trend for tourism and hospitality as well. So I want to know more about the standards, because if you look at Julian's GSTC or 4-pillar sustainable, that will be 182 standards for sustainable, right? And yeah, that is the 2 courses that I want to learn more.
All right, and Keaton, what approaches have you used to reach sales targets?
This is an interesting question. I think a lot of it would depend on, what type of portfolio, if you're in specifically hotels, what portfolio you want to work for. Select brands, premium brands, or luxury. Once you kind of understand what that deliverable is, then you need to understand how ownership alignments. A lot of the times, if you see a Hilton brand, it's not owned by Hilton. There are an ownership group behind that has basically franchised out the Hilton brand. That's just an example. But if you're working for a franchise, then you have to understand what the ownership is looking for. Once you understand what the ownership's looking for in terms of, do they want more corporate? Do they want more transient? Do they want more group business? Then you have to market your strategy around that. Of course, you can bring up suggestions if you really understand the market that you're in. I would suggest that for me, understanding the market is crucial. Understanding Halifax and what type of business comes to Halifax is first and foremost always my number one goal in a sales tactic. You can't pull rooms or group business if it's not there. So you need to understand, who is in your market and who's looking and how that fits within the guidelines that you were given and the parameters that you're in. I find with us, my favorite sales tactic is truly just getting our name out into a broader market and trying to find pieces that may not be coming to Halifax unless they're coming to Muir specifically. But other brands, they may focus more on conference or group or business travel. So the sales tactic can truly change based on where you work and what type of guidelines are presented. But I always find, and this is kind of something that I've really learned, I would say post-COVID, is if you're the first to respond to an inquiry and it's clear and it's concise, you're really putting yourself in a better position to win that piece of business. Planners are busy busy. Clients are busy. If you don't waste their time, they'll truly appreciate that. And I find that's kind of the route of our tactic is making sure that we're responding and reaching out in a clean, concise, and appropriate way to ensure that we can kind of secure what we need to secure. That's first and foremost my biggest tip if you're going into a sales role, whether starting out as a coordinator, is just be quick with what you want. Planners are busy. People are busy. The more information and the better delivery that you can do you're going to win every time. So, but yeah, it really does depend on what type of brand you're looking for. And I truly say understand the market first. Understand what you're working in and understand what the ownership group expects of you as a sales team. And then you can truly start aligning your tactics with that.
Right. And Roberta, how does your business fit within the tourism sector?
This is a really good question because, there's the overarching study of business and what comes underneath that. So I have a retail store. I actually have 2 stores now. We're actually signing the acquisition tomorrow. So I'm going to have 2 stores. One's going to be a tailor shop. So I don't see that being part of the tourism industry, but the retail store is what we're going to focus on because retail is your local tourism, but it's also your global tourism, right? So my retail store, because I am First Nations, a lot of the products and stuff that I choose are First Nations, right? So it's a fabric store. So we celebrate the culture through ribbon skirts and making your own clothing and things like that. So of course I had to represent jewelry. So beaded earrings and things like that I'll have available in my store. So tourists, they're people coming, local tourists as well, coming to my store, they're going to see that experience where they can purchase authentic Indigenous made items, right? Because we want to make sure we showcase our work and our talent so that they're ready to purchase. So there's the retail store. But we're also building a classroom. So the classroom is going to be 20 by 30 feet, good sized classroom, where we can offer hands-on experiences to tours. And of course, sitting beside Winny was a great opportunity for us to network because a colleague of hers is actually meeting with me to do shore excursions. So they can come to my authentic retail store where they can purchase. We want them to purchase, but also we want them to have an experience where they see the culture firsthand. They can make a moccasin. They can make a dream catcher. They can learn from our culture from our retail store. So we're building the store to be part of tourism and also build the economy, right? Because we're showcasing not only Indigenous artists, but also small business. So in my store, we're going to be representing a lot of small business because we can trailblaze that with them, right? So when it comes to business, to have a successful business, you need 3 pillars. You need to have your product and service, right? Tourism is going to be interested in product and services. They need something to sell, right? You're going to have your finances. You got to have a plan. You have to have that component or that pillar of your business to be successful. Then you need to have marketing, which is very much tourism. And the people in that industry that's going to help the retail stores or the product and service sell to their customers and clients. They're selling the experience. So every successful business needs those 3 pillars to be successful. Nobody operates by themselves in this industry. You need mentorship. You need a product or service to sell. You need the financing to kind of go back with that. Trust me, I've dealt with the banks, but you need your paperwork. You need to have a plan. Don't be like me and sleep in all day, right? Have a plan, but you have to have your marketing components. And that is the selling points. That is the experience you're selling. What are people learning, right? What are we offering? That's the 3 things that I always say, your pillars. So that's how my business fits in tourism, is because I'm part of those 3 pillars. And again, I'm working as a team. That's going to help me in my business, is partnering with tourism and tourism students. Thank you.
All right. And Sara, what is unique about your food and beverage establishment?
I love this question because I'm no stranger to Nova Scotian food and beverage and hospitality. So I started my career at the Digby Pines. I said that I was conference and events coordinator, and then I moved on to be their food and beverage manager. And then once I left there, I went to Fox Harbour Resort and I was their food and beverage manager for a few years, and now I'm at White Point. So while we think about Nova Scotian resorts, sometimes we kind of paint them with one brush, but all these properties were so very, very different. You know, talking about the luxury side, that's more of the Fox Harbor, and then the Digby Pines was a bit more of a historical property. Now, what's beautiful about White Point is, I don't know if you guys talk about this in your schooling and all, but the idea of maritime hospitality. Now, maritime hospitality doesn't mean that, you know, you're cooking hodgepodge in your grandmother's kitchen or what have you. Maritime hospitality means that we're welcoming people into our home, and that's what maritime hospitality is supposed to feel like. So one thing about White Point that was amazing when I first went there for my original site tour, when I was recruited to go and visit to see if it would be a good fit for me, was feeling like I was welcomed into their home, feeling like I was part of their family. Every single employee that I faced made me feel special, and they give that experience to every other guest, every single guest that comes in. And I was shocked. I said, this is exactly the place that I need to be. So maritime hospitality is huge there. The idea of community is huge. So if you've heard of White Point, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. A little bit. I'm used to the middle of nowhere is at Fox Harbor, which is also in the middle of nowhere. But you know, it's an hour and a half from here. It's in Liverpool. But the idea of community is huge. The idea of, you know, supporting our local charities, them supporting us, is something that's huge. And then also with the idea of community as well, talking kind of operationally, the team of managers that I work with, all the department heads, whether that's housekeeping, recreation, guest services, maintenance, it's a collaborative effort in everything we do, which is something that I have not experienced at other Nova Scotian resorts, is that, you know, of course, you know, you are the expert in your own area, but we collaborate on all of our decisions, and I think that's really unique and very interesting that, you know, we help each other in everything we do every day and get outside perspectives from the other department heads, and our whole goal is to help each other, which in turn helps our staff, which in turn helps our guests. So the idea of community and that hospitality, that home feeling, is something that's very unique about White Point that I really love.
Thank you, Sarah. So now if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand and we can get the microphone out. We use the microphone so online students can hear. Just raise your hand. There we go.
So, I'm Tina, and I would like to ask some question with Roberta. Yeah, because thank you for your sharing your story. I really enjoy serving, and I due to fashion design in Vietnam, so that's why when I came here, I want to start my own business in the future. So that's why I have many questions, but so when I came here, I have been self teaching. So, do you think do I need to go to school? I mean, fashion school to make sure I get more professional? And second question, what's the hardest part when you start your business? And last question, and what advice would you give me to start business here?
Those are three great questions. So first of all, no, you don't have to go to school to become a tailor. The most important thing is skill building, right? And learning how to do things. When it comes to tailoring, every single day I'm working on different things I've never done before. And you have to be willing to learn. Google's my friend, right? And this is why I'm saying as students, always be learning, like constantly. If you don't know how to do something, figure it out, because somebody else before you already figured it out, right? Go online. So I suggest to you, once you're passionate about, if this is what you want to do, yes, then pursue education after this. But it's so important for you to have a portfolio. And this is what we're offering in our tailor school, in our classroom, is that if you want to build a portfolio, come talk to me, because you need to work with real customers to get those reviews so that you can perfect your skill, right? The hardest thing for me as a business is that I started off from scratch. So when I went to the bank, they didn't see tailoring as a viable business, right? So it was very difficult to get the bank support. Again, 3 pillars, right? So I had to bootstrap my business. So I invested my own time and money and failed forward. Somebody said no to me. I was like, nope, I'm going to do it. So I invested my own money and time to build my business. Word of mouth is very important because I built my business completely from word of mouth, and we won the tailoring award several times just by doing a good job and focusing on that. If you want to start your business right now as a tailor, which is a growing market right now when it comes to sustainability, it could take you to Milan, right? So a lot of these brands are looking for tailors to help facilitate the sustainability. My best suggestion for you as a business, become an apprentice. So again, we can talk about this after. Build your portfolio. I always say put miles on your machine. And then when it's time for you to build your business, you have bases. Foundation, again, going back to what I said, building your foundation now while you can, this is the most important thing. So good for you. Thank you.
I have a question for all of the panelists. Like, what were your marketing, like connecting strategies, like with which you guys started your networking? So, like, as an international student, sometimes we find it difficult to network because, and as Roberta said, we do need to have a mentor. So, yeah, at some times I do feel like I lack a mentor. So, what are your guys' strategies? How did you approach someone for your jobs?
I'm just going to go. So, what I found was starting from kind of the ground up, and then your leaders within those roles becoming your mentors. I still think that my managers and supervisors, when I first started like serving, are still mentors to me to this day, and learning from them is a huge opportunity. So, maybe not going and finding somebody that like from outside of what you're doing and saying, can you mentor me, actually working alongside them and kind of starting from the ground up, understanding everything from the ground up and learning from them every day is a huge part of mentorship that I found. And I still speak to these people that I worked for all the time. So that was big for me.
I'll just jump in after Sara. I 100% agree with what she said. I also started as a server, and the people who were my managers, general managers, were the ones who continuously pushed me forward and continuously recommended me for the next steps. I mean, it's a two-way street as well. People want to mentor people who want to be mentored. Take constructive criticism. Try your absolute hardest, no matter if it's just an entry-level job or if it's the job that you absolutely want. People will see the effort, and then they will take that effort and do their best for you. So even if it's, again, like an entry-level position, you'll be able to find someone that has a connection somewhere to the role that you want. You just kind of have to give the two-way street of making sure that, you're putting your best foot forward as well for that person to take you under their wing.
I want to add here, thank you so much for the white sister, the student as well, because I'm an international student, just like you, and I'm from China. And in 2021, I came here, no family, no connections, and my LinkedIn connection is 0. So I started from the base, how you build up your connection, and I'm really happy that you raised this question. I want to share a little bit about my experience and how I can get from 0 connection to 700 connection on LinkedIn to today. So building up the portfolio, like Roberta said, is really important, and it's the most important marketing part. So how you build for your portfolio is what you did in your class, your academic performance, and also how you did in your work as a server, starting from the entry base, how you do your work, how you treat your customers, how you treat your classmates, and how you treat your professors. What are you going to give? Because we come here, we take, and how you give back to the community is also important. So starting from there, you build your portfolio, and also you put it onto a more public social media, so people can see you from more wider side. So I would suggest everyone should have a portfolio on LinkedIn, because that is your professional portfolio to start, and that's the marketing. And also the second way I did it is to attend the department activities, right? Colette will agree with me. So we have learners and leaders every single year. We have learners and leaders big conference, and we have a lot of different career, I think it's called LEAD now, like a fundraising events as well. So be one of the volunteer or sign up into the Business and Tourism Society. I think we have some people here, BTS Society, and then your professor will connect you, because you are the VIP actually in the business and tourism, because you want to help. So your professor will prioritize your name or give you more opportunities to connect it with the professionals outside. So that's the way I get my job here when I meet someone, because in a conference, I was like talking to different people, and then someone say, oh, you can speak Chinese? I have a job for you. And that's why I get to the job here now. So yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Building up your portfolio, don't be afraid, curious, helping others, and join as a volunteer. That would help you. Okay.
Perfect. There's a wise saying says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I think you started that journey right now by asking that question. What you have to focus on your start story, right? Sometimes if you can't find a mentor, be your own mentor, right? Find your passion, why you're here. Why are you here in this university? And your mentors will show. And that's what happened to me, because I was by myself and I felt very alone. But I asked questions and I reached out and I said, you know what, I need help. And when you do that, the right people will come and support you. I always say find your 5 people, right? Have 5 people in your circle that you can trust, that you can share ideas with, that you can make mistakes with, because that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. Make mistakes, right? And again, find a new path if you have to. The Mount offers that to you. You're in the great place to find those 5 people, those 5 mentors, 5 professors, or even fellow students that's going to share your start story with you. And you never know what's going to take off from there, right? So if you can't find a mentor, be your own mentor. Okay.
All right, unfortunately it is 1:17, so we are going to have to come to a close. I wanted to thank everyone for coming, and if you're in the Learning Passport, please remember to fill out your survey within 48 hours. And thank you to the panelists for coming today.